If you've ever played a competitive game, chances are you probably got angry over losing. The amount of anger you felt probably varied greatly depending on who you are and what you were reacting to. But the point still stands that people get angry at video games. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why we get angry at video games. In my opinion, there are two kinds of, gamer rage, if you want to call it that. And the first is the anger we felt after losing in a competitive match against other players. And the second type is felt after losing a single player game. An example of the second type would be getting mad after not being able to beat a particularly hard level of Mario. However, I'm going to be discussing the competitive gaming setting first. So when you're playing a game like League of Legends and you're really focusing on the game, whether it be an actual reward like a rise in LP in League of Legends or whether people just want the dopamine rush, in my experience, people really want the rewards you get from winning. This makes it even harder to remain calm when you lose because you know that somebody else is getting what you want. However, if we look at this objectively, it seems kind of silly. I mean, a lot of the time the rewards people are competing over aren't all that serious. I mean, take LP in League of Legends again. I know I'm using this example a lot, but unless you're in the top players, losing LP won't greatly affect your life. It isn't really a big deal if you can't rank up, since there'll always be other opportunities, and in my opinion, people should try to just enjoy the game, win or lose. I can understand why people can't see past this though, because if you go straight into the next round, you never give yourself time to think critically about how much that loss actually mattered to you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you shouldn't care about games. I think it's fine to care about games, but you really shouldn't let it affect your mood. A game's primary function should always be to be fun, and if it stops being fun, then stop playing the game. Otherwise, you're just trading time for stress, and in my opinion, that won't be good for your well-being. Another reason why I think games make people angry is because they're addictive. The dopamine rush we get from winning a competitive game can be super addictive, especially if you have nothing else in your life as a source of dopamine. If losing or winning that one game is the biggest dopamine source in your life at the time, of course you're going to react strongly to it. I think it's important to have at least 3 or 4 things in your life that make you genuinely happy outside of video games. This way you can avoid caring too much about a loss in a game and you have something to fall back on. What I've seen in my experience from video game addiction is that people playing the games after a while stop enjoying them and that they just can't stop playing them. So at this point most people would just stop playing the game, right? Because you're not enjoying it anymore, so there's no fun. But in my observations, when you have nothing to fall back on, that doesn't matter to them. The second type of anger I wanted to talk about was the anger we feel when we play a single player game. Sometimes a level on a single player game can be even more frustrating than losing a competitive multiplayer game, since you're constantly having to try again and again to beat the same obstacle. I think what a lot of people don't understand is that solving the puzzle is part of the game. If you beat every level first try, it would be boring. The challenge of the game comes from having to overcome the obstacle. This is what makes it fun. Anyway, I've been talking about anger in video games like it's only a bad thing, but I'd be lying if I didn't agree that making people mad is half the fun of video games. I can remember like 6 different times I've been laughing while beating my friend in a game and hearing him get heated over losing. However, the other half of this is video games making you angry. Getting heated and emotional about losing a game can actually be an okay experience. As long as you don't internalize it and let it affect your mood, it can be a pretty harmless way to blow off steam in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going a little off topic. To wrap this up, here are my final thoughts on the question of why video games make us angry. I think video games make us angry for a number of reasons, and a lot of the time these reasons are quite personal. However, to make a huge generalization, we get angry at video games because we take the loss too personally, and we get too focused on the loss and don't see the wider picture of how that loss is not all that important and will not affect you seriously, and that you probably feel better if you just took a second to think about it logically and instead try to have fun despite losing in a game. I mean, if only winning is fun, then you're missing out on a load of the game that could be enjoyable. That is all I really have to discuss. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. We are so close to 200 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate it if you help me reach that milestone. Thanks for watching and see ya.